Good evening, everyone. My name is Gunnar. Welcome to Craft Beer Blab. My co-host is Jonah, and we have barrel backers here online with us, going to talk about their very interesting concept in a way to get people some rare beers. So here we go. Jonah was just talking that he's doing a sacrificial pumpkin beer tasting tonight.
Yes, I am. And folks, thanks for joining in. If you're watching this on replay, Craft Beer Chat, thank you, Anello. And Barrel Backers, exciting to hear more about that. Couple cool things. They are supporting a local brewery in my neighborhood, Fairport Brewing, which is good to know. So, as I said, being a craft beer aficionado, one of the things that I'm very much anti is pumpkin beer. So the irony with tonight's selection is this is probably one thing that I never will be caught drinking. But ironically, I do want to shout out Saranac. Saranac is right up in my hood. They're actually it's actually Utica. It's a long story. That's a whole nother blab. But at any rate, great beers, great selection, and again, I don't know whether it was just some kind of childhood fluke, but I've just never been a big fan of pumpkin beer. So, I mean, I can't really tell you that that's probably the best pour. It more looks like bourbon, but it is not. I wish it was bourbon. This particular beer, it's sort of reminiscent of kind of a pale ale. It has, I think the IBU on it's like 15. I do like it. Believe it or not, there's some pretty good undertones. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say salty, but at any rate, I mean, here's the thing. The good news is, if I did have a six pack, I'd probably just drink one. Or if I had company coming over, I'd be like, "Hey, look at this."
Here,
So,
try this. Yeah.
I just don't know what it is. I've never really been a big pumpkin beer fan. I don't mind the blueberries. I've done some blueberry beers. I've done some like the almond gag, the three philosophers. I've done stuff like that. And dabbled in some other things. Actually, I have to say, Sculpin, Ballast Point, Sculpin grapefruit is pretty solid. I'm starting to see some beers come out that way. Stone Ages, delicious IPA, by the way, that was a good one. I wouldn't necessarily say that was in that same category. In fact, I shouldn't even put that in the same category. And anyway, so yeah, that was my weak choice. So there you go, pumpkin ale from Saranac, again, right here in upstate New York. If you're ever right out off Route 90, you can take a tour for $10, and you get 2 drink tokens. It is well worth it. My wife and I went. It was a lot of fun. So
Nice.
there you go.
Well, I have a Castle Danger Ale. It's a canned beer from, I think it's up north in Minnesota, North Shore Ale, 6.5 ABV. I don't know what the IBUs on it are, although they are kind of funny. So Castle Danger beer is unfiltered, unpasteurized, should be kept cold. For filtered beer, we suggest teeth for a coarse filter or facial hair for a finer polish. So, you get the facial hair and you just kind of strain it through that and you filter it out. No, but they say it's a special, it's not a categorized beer, which is great. But if I had to categorize it, I'd say it's kind of a amber ale, kind of a dark, a little malty, fruity almost, but a solid beer. They come in 6-packs. It's again a Minnesota beer, so got to rep Minnesota with a lot of my beers. So keeping the Minnesota beers. I hope they're a Minnesota beer. Actually, I think Two Harbors, Minnesota. So yeah, definitely Minnesota.
And
so yeah,
primarily canned.
I think it's primarily canned. Actually, I went up to the cities last week. I think it was Friday or Saturday, and I specifically went into a liquor store up there just to see if there was something different that I could get up there than from down here in Rochester. So that kind of caught my eye, and I figured, okay, well, I'll give that a try. So I think it's only in cans.
Now, is just a segue. Is
mm-hmm.
your preference for beers, bottled or cans, or just kind of whatever? I mean, because I know some people who are just like, I will only drink out of bottles. I know some people that will only drink out of cans.
Right.
I, I don't know, man. I think it could be just a little bit of mental stigmatism. I mean, if you blind taste tested me, I probably couldn't tell.
Right.
Maybe I'm not I don't know. Maybe I don't have a seasoned enough palate, but I've gotten some serious controversy with some of my fellow craft beer consumers. They're like, oh, if it comes out of a can, you can totally tell. I mean, I don't know, man. What do you guys think about that? I think it's a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you.
No,
But this
yeah.
is
Well,
me.
to me, I mean, canning makes a lot of sense to me from a production standpoint,
Sure.
in that absolutely no light gets into the beer. So beers, what kills a beer is heat and light, and so you keep a beer cold or fairly cool. I shouldn't say cold, but fairly cool, and then you keep it out of light, and so that way it doesn't produce any off flavors and that type of stuff. So canning a beer is probably the best way to keep it from going bad. In
Sure.
addition to when they seal it, they I mean, it's really sealed. When you cap a bottle, there's a chance that it could not be completely sealed, and
Sure.
you get some funkiness. So to me, I mean, I'll drink anything out of a bottle or a can, but I think we're going to see a lot more canned beers from craft breweries because they can keep it more consistent.
Sure.
At least
Sure.
that's my take on it.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that. In fact, I was just at the Wyndham World Cup here in the Catskills. I was chilling with the folks from Oscar Blues, and they had an unveiling of their white IPA, which is fantastic, by the way. If you get a chance to try that, but again, I mean that's it. I mean, Dale's is just everything. Everything's cans.
right, right.
Their original premise was like, carry in, carry out. So I mean, aside of that, but I would agree with the lighting the cans, and I think the good news is most craft beers don't sit around the shelves that long to even get to that
Yeah,
point.
that's true too. Yeah, yeah.
So
And do you
anyway,
do you have an
go ahead.
opinion on that? So do you want us to call you barrel backers or
You can call me Adam.
Adam?
Adam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
like
do
my
you?
name. I just, I didn't know what to sign in here with, so I was like, all right,
No, yeah,
Barrel Backers it is.
perfect. No, that's fine.
But no,
So Adam, do you have a preference? Cans, bottles?
um, I mean, I would say I like cans more just from the practicality standpoint. I mean, you brought up all great points about freshness, et cetera, and so I agree with all that. But I also like the fact that I can throw a can or a couple cans in the backpack and go for a hike and like not worry about them breaking. And if I am, if I've got a good session in and I accidentally drop one, I'm not worried about, am I going to step in it?
Right.
Right.
And, stuff like that. But outside of that, I mean, I definitely can appreciate glass bottles as well. I'm definitely, I don't think there's a big taste difference, but again, like Jonah said, maybe I don't have the palate either. So I think good beer is good beer. And,
Right. Right.
if it's properly in the right container, then like it's just going to work and you'll know. So.
Right. Right.
Excellent.
Agreed. Yeah, that's awesome. So, I just those folks like tuning in right now. Again, we're with Adam from Barrel Backers, and they've got an incredibly unique offering. Believe it or not, there are 3 tiers that you can sign up for. And again, it's barrelbackers.com, which is kind of cool. There's a 6-month plan, a 3-month plan, and even a 1-month plan. So obviously, I would imagine that it is hopefully scaled so that customers can take advantage of that. And now, if you go to their site, there's a number of breweries that you're involved with. How? Okay, I guess let's back up and kind of tell us the whole story. Like how, like you almost it almost reminds me of some of the earlier beer clubs that have kind of sort of gone to the wayside. In fact, I think, are they still around? Just, I don't even know, because I do remember, like, a while back, a buddy of mine bragging about the beer of the month club or something like that, and they used to get a
Right.
beer. I don't know, and now I don't know, Gunnar. I don't know if that makes any sense, but tell us, so
Right.
tell
Yeah.
us the story. Adam, if you would.
Yeah. So the other actual differences that where we kind of made the change from the beer club is that we also have multiple campaigns on our website that you can just pick. And so my frustration and our frustration, I founded this with my brother and two other friends, and we all had beer club memberships, was one of the things was you just got beer once a month, which was cool because like, it wasn't from where you were from, etc. But you didn't have a say. You couldn't say, wow, this is something great that I grew up with. I currently live in California. I grew up in Georgia. And so, there's a couple great beers that I always wanted to have, and you can't just get them. And so like the beer clubs kind of solve that problem, but then how do you get it again? How do you get more of it? And so as we looked at that, we said, we could partner with breweries and utilize the same type of, beer club network to get the beer legally through the 3-tier system out to people's stores. But we provide a way for users to get access to not the beers that you can find at your standard retailer, because everyone takes those and there's the inventory risk, etc. But some of the smaller guys, like for example, tonight I'm drinking Compass Rose Brewery or Compass Rose beer. It's an IPA from Service Brewing out of Georgia. They're in Savannah, Georgia. They're not carried anywhere online, but they've worked with us. They were one of the original breweries that came on board. And long story short, we're actually friends with the founder because we all worked together in the Army and what I did in my previous life. And so that connection there kind of got us going down this path of how can we get access to this beer. And it really started with him saying, hey, I opened a brewery. And we're like, great, send us some. And he's like, yeah, I can't. And we're like, well, that's ridiculous. And you're going to have a bigger problem trying to scale. And, 3,500 plus craft breweries out there, et cetera. They all have this problem. How do we help them? And so, as you mentioned, we worked with Fairport Brewing, which is nearby you. And again, it was the same way the first time we got them out of the state of New York. And so people are really excited about it, to include myself. And so I was able to experience that without having to fly to Fairport, New York.
Right. Now there's no, again, there's no, cross the border, cross the state. There's no like types of any issues with you doing that. I mean, obviously no. So I guess the point for those folks watching.
Yeah. So it's definitely not that simple. And so to be very clear,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, for anyone watching, like we don't hold licenses and we don't touch the beer. So like from the legal perspective, we have partnerships and we have partner wholesalers and partner retailers that conduct the sale and then transfer it through. And so there was a memo that came out from the California State Liquor Authority in 2010, descripting how a business model of a third-party marketplace can operate with licensed individuals such as wholesalers and retailers to operate as a web platform. Because California is very progressive. All the internet stuff that's in here, they're like, all right, we know this is going to happen. The wine delivery stuff had happened, and so the State Liquor Authority is, from what I understand from our lawyers, is the only one to publish a memo and say this is how you can do it legally and we won't come after you. And so we took that and said, all right, this is our business model, and we've worked with the lawyers, et cetera, to like make sure we didn't do anything stupid. And so that's how we've kind of gone out, and we see ourselves solving a problem for a lot of people that have moved or want to experience great beer they can't get locally. And so that's kind of what we are. We're a discovery platform. Obviously, you're going to pay more, but it's cheaper than flying to that state.
Well, I mean, and you have to think though. I mean, like I'll use Gunner for an example. I mean, over probably the past couple weeks, Surly is an example that comes to mind. I mean, even with his choice this evening, and the reality of it is, there's no way that living in upstate New York that I will be able to drink that beer.
Correct.
And hindsight is that there's some beers in our region, I mean, not included Fairport Brewing, but I'll use Needlo Brewing, Naked Dove. I mean, there's a couple, Three Heads Brewing. Well, Three Heads Brewing is maybe not as isolated anymore, but anyway, there's definitely, I think to your point, as you move along the regions, I mean, there's definitely some concentrated pockets of microbreweries, and ironically, we should probably connect offline because I do have somebody that I want to put you in contact with that
Okay.
basically is a consultant in helping microbreweries bootstrap and get started. But my point to you is that I would have to imagine that not only are you solving a huge issue for the consumers being able to get beer from their neighborhood or their region when they move away, but even like myself, like it'd be huge to be able to try beers from Surly. I mean, they sound fantastic. And I
Correct.
mean, I don't necessarily have unlimited free time to drive to Minnesota, which would be
Yeah.
cool, but that's not happening.
Yeah.
And even just again for the folks watching, even if you just tune in to their site and you look at the breweries tab, I mean, there's definitely some solid, there's some solid companies that they're involved with. I mean, Service Brewing, for example, is one that I haven't even heard of. You know what I mean? Evil Genius, Cisco, I've heard of. Speakeasy, I've heard of. But again, River Horse, obviously in New Jersey, I've heard of. So I mean, there's definitely the other nice thing about barrel backers, like you say, is that it seems to me that right now, are you just scaling it with the breweries that you have, or is the intent to really almost be able to offer to everybody and anything, whichever selection that they're looking for, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I mean, so we're, obviously the craft beer community is a tight community and kind of a vocal one. And so we're actually looking to scale it with what people want. So we also have the voting page, which maybe you can see at the top, and it's where
Yep.
people can submit beers. So, if you wanted, Surly Brewing, whatever, you could submit a beer and you could tell us. And then, as people vote for it, once we get 99 votes, we, as a company, reach out to the brewery and sometimes the breweries have heard of us. Most of the time they haven't. We've been launched for 3 months. So we started mid-June. We've been working on the project since last year. But there was a lot to get in place, et cetera. But all that being said, some people have heard of us. Some people are self-identifying and, saying, hey, how do we get involved? This looks awesome. We love what you're doing for craft. And, this is super helpful to kind of basically have a virtual store shelf.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And so it's a mixture of both. And as we grow, we really want it to be community driven, and we don't want it to be your standard, push marketplace where like this is what you get, so you just have to pick. Like we want to have it to be pull, and this is the value of the internet and why people can vote for stuff and people can talk, and really just kind of where does the community as a whole want to take the place? Because I mean, it's not just for me. I mean, I can only drink so much beer, and I'm definitely not going to be able to fund my own business. So that's just dumb. And so that's kind of where we see it in the vision of it going forward.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. And what is I mean, do you have any particular favorites? I see you're enjoying one of the Service Brewing Company selections. I mean, obviously, or do you care to not say that?
No, so I mean, honestly, this beer that I'm having is my current favorite right now, and it's probably one because it's really good. It was named one of the best beers in Georgia by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And, it's done really well. It was at Great American Beer Fest. Service was this year, and, people really enjoyed it. But the other side is that, it's kind of the inspirational beer for me. And the fact that I can drink it in California was purely through our platform. So that also makes me really like it.
Nice.
So that's my favorite beer right now. But, I wouldn't say there's a lot more that goes into it, but it makes me happy to drink. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. And do you have like a favorite style of beer? I mean, IPAs are popular right now, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, to get into sours and all kinds of different beers. So,
no, I definitely enjoyed sours. I was able to make it to the Source when I was in the Great American Beer Fest in Denver. and golly, what they were doing was some amazing beers. And I mean, it all depends on the day. You know, I enjoy a nice wheat beer after a long run, and you know, as it's colder, I really enjoy the Scotch ales.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
so I'm a big fan of those. I'm also a big fan of Scotch in general. So
See, I told you we were talking about that. We've had a couple people that have said, you know, maybe you need to do whiskey, like a Scotch and whiskey blab.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to talk about there too. So you know.
Right.
I think I would call it the digress blab as I'm like drooling on myself. I think I can probably okay that. No, that's pretty awesome. So also, hey, just a reminder, if you just tuning in and watching this on replay, thank you so much. Joe DePasquale co-hosting with Gunnar Soros, Craft Beer Blab, and a very exciting addition to our show, Barrel Backers, beg your pardon, Barrel Backers, and they it's a I love which I was saying is kind of like a virtual beer store, and they're able to bring unique beer choices to you that you may not necessarily have exposure to, and also if you check out their website, which we've shared along the right side as well, there's a vote section, and I guess as I was saying, it's what you said. How many votes again there to?
We're looking for 99. I mean, honestly, if it gets some quick traction, you know, we're always looking to source more beers. So, awesome. You know, if it seems interesting, we're always like, yeah, let's get that. I mean, I'd venture to say I'm probably the biggest user of our service. I got way more beer at this point, but it's like, yeah, I don't have that, you know, like.
So just okay. So for those folks tuning in right now, I had a few minutes to take some notes here, and it looks like, get your pens out and take this one down. Looks like Maple Mistress Imperial Ale currently on your site says 219 votes, with a second runner-up of Pliny the Elder.
Pliny the Elder.
That has see this is now I've got an awesome cheat sheet of beers to look after. This is actually kind of cool, but those seem to be the top. The top looks like, well, actually no, I'm sorry, and of course the third place runner up is Heady Topper. And by the way, I am embarrassed to say I have yet to try Heady Topper. That is really sad in my book, but that is on my list of things to find. And ironically, it is pretty tough to find. I don't. Right. I mean, I want to say that in upstate New York, at least in my region, it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know where my partners in crime are finding it, but that is good though. But your site's very helpful, by the way, too, which is kind of cool. So those folks watching can stop by there, and there is some stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, good news story on that. We are working with Saucony Beer Company to get Maple Mistress up in probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. So pretty cool that, you know, that's like one of the early validations. We had some other beers that were voted on, but it's like, yeah, you know, we got it. We reached out to them. They're like, yeah, sure, you guys are cool. And like, I mean, so it does work. We have reached out to Russian River Brewing and, you know, the Alchemist, but they don't really, you know, they're kind of the big boys. It's like, hey, we want your beer. They're like, yeah, get in line. So does everyone else. So it's like, thanks, man. Right. So,
well, and here's something that I kind of I don't know if, well, I don't know. I have no ties to the beer industry at all. So I have a feeling that some of the breweries, and I'll say, you know, maybe Alchemist is one, and I think even Russian River, they want to keep production really limited and small so that it creates a greater demand for their product. And so if they keep the distribution low and the demand high, they always have customers, and they'll always sell out basically. And they'll never have, they'll never have overstock of any of their beers. So I don't know if that has any impact on what you're doing, but from a consumer standpoint, I think in some ways that makes it difficult. At least for like me, that I can't even get anywhere near like Russian River Brewing or Heady Topper. It just won't happen.
And that's kind of like, even if they did decide to work with us, we're never going to be able to sustain it, and it would be a one-off. I mean, I would love to do it more, but like, it'd be a great thing. It'd be a great way to get their beer out to a bunch of people who are interested. Obviously, there's 200 plus people who have voted for it. All of them are interested.
Yeah.
And, we could get it out to them. And it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't you utilize the internet to do what the internet's supposed to do? Connect people and flatten down borders. But, it's okay. They're only distributed in Vermont. And as you mentioned, they like being rare, and they got a great product and obviously a cult following. So hopefully we can figure it out in the future. But it's gonna be one of those things where if we get enough traction and we get enough users and we become something they can't ignore, then it'll probably work. But being 3 months old, they're like, "Oh, that's cute, kid. Like, come on back and been around a little while." Like, all right.
So 3 months. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you guys have really been kind of working, round the clock just to get this going.
It's
like you said. Now, is this solely right now all of your time and efforts and energies? Is this it? Like, is this your, like, excuse me for asking, I mean, is this your day job, or are you
right.
are you a desk jockey? You got something else going on? I mean, so how is that working?
Yeah, no. So this is me and my brother's day job. So there's 4 of us who came together, and we all pooled some capital and put this together and trying to make it work. And we already have revenue and stuff like that. We're definitely not profitable or break even, but we're trying to staunch the bleeding, if you will, and get to a place where it works. And yeah, I mean, so we've gathered a fair amount of interest from people, and people are excited about it, and so it's great. Some of our users are on their 12th and 13th order. I mean, beer coming to your door is a great experience. You should try it.
I think you nailed it, and I'll use myself as an example. I mean, there's just I think Gunnar and I have said that. I think, and even you probably agreed. For our viewers out there, I mean, if there's a certain taste, right, or if there's a certain palette of a beer that you're looking for, then 2 things. I mean, if you have the flexibility to go and travel to that destination, that's one thing. But if it's simply not feasible, right? To your point, I mean, again, it's like it's just like that 101 business model. It's like, okay, here's the problem, you're solving it, the problem goes away, I have my beer, and I agree with you. I believe that out of the fact that we are choosing to be here on this medium, and the folks are tuning in or they're watching on replay, is that they're not drinking Pabst or Natty Ice or Budweiser. Right. I mean, we've all been there, obviously, but
yeah, of course.
I think that I shudder when somebody hands me like a like a domestic. I mean, I've been to like the picnics where it's like the ice cold cooler of Budweiser. You're like, woohoo, good day.
Yeah.
But my point is, I mean, to be able to provide something like that, I could see this. I know Gunnar and I were talking about this. I mean, could be incredibly scalable. And I think the other thing too is just like anything, it's just simply visibility and positioning. Like, I would have to imagine, the inn right now is at probably every single freaking Brewers Fest that you can think of, because it doesn't matter, where you are, who you are. If people can like logically put like what's going on at the festival and then what you do, and if you're like able to be there and connect with those brewers, I mean, I would say they would look at your service and go, wow, this is going to be invaluable, because I have all these people that are coming to this taste, this pairing or tasting or whatever, and they're trying these beers. And the other nice thing though too is you're not necessarily just aligning yourself with one brewery. I mean, you're there
Right.
to be essentially that agent for all of the breweries, which to me, I mean, that's a huge, that's a huge benefit to your business model, and I think that in itself would really prove to be invaluable. And you're right. I mean, if there are the bigger fish, are they going to care? Yes and no. They're just going to assume that everybody's going to be able to get their beer. I keep going back to, Gunner's point about, I hate to say the word sellout, but, we, in an earlier blab, we talked about, Magic Hat, and I kind of told them the Magic Hat story, about how a couple years ago I was announcing up at Sugarbush, and they actually had a Brewers Fest, and I ran into an individual that had started a company called Fiddlehead, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, I've never had Fiddlehead, like, where'd this beer come from? And the individual was like, well, I was one of like the master brewers that started Magic Hat, and I was like, whoa. So it kind of started like spiraling into this interesting story. And the point that I'm trying to make was what Gunnar was saying earlier, is that all of a sudden, to stay up with the Joneses, kind of Magic Hat sort of let out like the Colonel's recipe. And then the next thing you know is you can, go into almost any local corner store and find, Magic Hat #9 and all these like cheesy 12 packs are popping up, which to me, that's a sign of selling out, by the way, if I'm going to say that. The holiday season packs and stuff like that. That stuff just drives me nuts, man. It's like if I want a good 6-pack of beer of whatever kind, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, there's 2 of these and there's 1 of these. Like, it's like 8 hot dogs and 6 buns mentality.
Right.
Hooking you right up as a consumer.
Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So we got Red Flag Dan is hanging out. Tommy Crowder, what is going on? Our good friend Tommy Crowder now. So he's been laying low. I think Tommy is notorious for road tripping and his antics. I don't know if he's gonna pop in tonight, but he'll kind of he's low key in it. So actually, and I want to get back to something that Gunnar was saying. Gunnar, you were talking about sours, right? And
yes.
I kind of, well, pumpkin isn't necessarily a fruit beer. Like, what, Adam, I'd be curious to get your take, because I did see there were some votes on your site for a couple beers that were in that category. I definitely have not acquired a palate for those. Like, I think that's my threshold right now. If I do try a beer like that, my first reaction is just to spit it out. I'm sorry, man. I just haven't tried it enough. I mean, that's just me. I mean, do you have a preference for those at all, or just is what it is?
I mean, I personally just find it interesting, because I mean, there's so much more that goes into it, because obviously the yeast is wild, and there's just a higher level of sophistication of getting that to turn into a consistent quality product. Sure. And so I can respect that. And there's some where, like, I did a flight when I was out at the source, and it was just like some of them were just like, wow, all right, we won't be finishing that.
Yeah.
But others are like, wow, this is amazing stuff right here. Yeah. So I just like the fact that it takes skill, and like anyone, like, I'm sure all of us can appreciate the art of being a brewmaster and all the stuff that craft breweries can do.
Sure.
And this is just like the next frontier, that it's like, all right, you're doing barrel aged wild, like that's a big risk. You're putting something out there, and it's like an artist exposing themselves. And I can respect that, whether I like it or not. I respect it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I find I was talking to a brewery here in town, and they were talking about that they want to start doing some sours, but the risk with sours is that if you're not especially careful with cleaning after a batch of sours, that you're going to ruin possibly batches of beers afterwards because of, I think it's not only the yeast but the bacteria that's in there that causes it to give it that sour flavor will stick around and contaminate everything. So it is kind of a risky proposition, and so especially for a smaller brewer to be able to say, okay, well, I'm doing this in addition possibly to other beers. I think that's a big risk. I mean, you could ruin future batches of beer just because you're trying to get this one sour recipe down. So yeah, hats off to them. I haven't I haven't necessarily acquired a taste myself for many sours. I think I've had one that I could say that I liked, but saisons I like. So I think they're just a little sweeter, a little more wild than a standard beer, but not quite as sour and tart as a sour normally is. So there you go.
Yeah, and you're a self-proclaimed brewer there. You got some home brew. You busted out the
Yeah,
home brew last week. Come on, I'll toot
right,
your horn
right.
for you. You
Oh
got
yeah.
a little stash back there.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I like to say I know what I'm doing. I'm not a pro, so it's more of a hobby. So just to be able to say that I can brew a beer and do that is it's actually fun to know the process that goes into actually making beer is great. And so it's kind of like cooking, I guess. You can find joy in sharing something. So I know Jonah knows. So recently we did a tasting of Stone Delicious IPA, which is actually a gluten-free or gluten-reduced beer. But I have some friends that are celiac, and so I had brewed up some actually gluten-free beer, sorghum and stuff. So that came out pretty well, and the people enjoyed it, and my friends thought it was great beer. So mission accomplished.
Nice. Great.
Hey Tommy, how's it going?
Good. I'm full. Jonah, you would have been so jealous. What was the restaurant where it came from?
What was that?
Shit. Menu in here somewhere. There we
go. Yeah, Adam, yeah.
I'm giving props for this.
Oh, nice.
I am so full right now. I'm so full. I didn't drink any good beer, so I feel a little bad chiming in here because there's no good beer that I had tonight. I just actually I was drinking Captain. But it's good to see
there you go.
Well, there you go. Captain beer. Nice. You get a little bit of a poor signal there. We got the audio, no visual, which is fine. Where are you? Are you on the road traveling this week? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we're in PA right now.
PA, gotcha. Nice.
Okay.
Good. Did I miss your Rochester trip? Apparently, is that what happened?
No, haven't been up that way yet.
Excellent. All right, we'll have to make some
Buffalo this week, but I don't think it's going to happen now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm heading to Buffalo this weekend, so I got a couple places to check out on the list, which would be good. That's awesome. So what is so Tommy, we were talking about a couple things there before you chimed in. We're talking about sours and some of the unique brewing processes that go into that, and then also Gunnar has got the closet microbrew stash going on. He's gonna be the next bootstrap company. There he is. You're back.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Tommy, this is Adam. Adam is with Barrel Backers, and he's been nice enough to join us and tell us the Barrel Backer story. The cool thing, if you get a chance, definitely check them out after the fact, barrelbackers.com. But they've got a really just an awesome business model. They have partnered with a number of breweries, and they're able to actually bring beer to your doorstep. It's a little bit more of an extra cost, obviously, to cover the shipping, but the nice thing is it gets into the conversation of being able to get access to beers. I think we lost him.
Yeah.
And he's here, gone. But anyway, I guess I'm talking to myself. That's fine. So
No, that's okay. Well, and I was going to mention to Tommy, because he had mentioned, I think a couple of episodes back, something about Zombie Dust from Three Floyds is one of his favorite beers. And Barrel Backers has that available to be voted on right now. And hopefully that will get the required 100 votes. And also, I see that Pseudo Sue is on there.
Correct.
And I've had Pseudo Sue. It's an excellent beer, very good. So funny story. So they're about an hour from their tap room is about an hour from where I live. I made a kind of special family trip down to Decorah, Iowa, to check out the brewery and also do some family stuff in the area. But the day that we happened to go down there was the day that they were reflooring their tap room. So I wasn't able to get any beer from them because they were closed. Geez. So that stunk. And then a week later, they started distributing up in our area. So I was able to buy it. But then now I hear that the beer that you get from their tap room is different than what you can get in the stores, because they contract brew. So they have their beers made in Florida through a bigger brewery, which obviously is great for them because it allows it to get distributed out. But it's not, it's probably the same recipe. It's just not exactly the same as getting it at the source. So I got to make another trip down there and check it out.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Adam, a question for you. Like I said, what is your, we talked about your favorite beer. I mean, do you have a favorite brewery? I mean, that you kind of stumbled across so far that is maybe either one that people know, or one that people need to be kind of keeping their eyes and ears peeled for?
Yeah, I mean, so as I mentioned earlier, I was able to go to the Great American Beer Fest, which was cool, and we went to Crooked Stave, and I mean, those guys they're doing great stuff, and this is where I tasted all the sours, and this is where, half of them I probably would never buy again. But again, back to when you get into the science behind it and you understand what they're doing, and they're putting stuff away for a year, as a wild ale. And it's like,
wow.
I mean, that's a huge risk. And to, kind of put themselves on the line like that and also be at kind of the forefront of the wild. I respect that. And so I'm always happy to, go give them some money. Would love to get them on the site. We, haven't really gone down that road of even talking with them yet because they have such a small production as it is. I think they only did like maybe 1,400 barrels last year. So, I'm sure it's going to be hard to get a piece of production off of them. But either way, I still, I think they're doing great things, and I really enjoy them right now.
Nice.
I guess is probably the answer.
And then, and then what about ciders? Those are really hitting big time here in New York. In fact, I can name probably 2 or 3 like local like apple mills that have kind of converted. Blue Toad is one of them. There's a couple. Again, same conversation. I've kind of done the flights, and it's amazing when you go, from one batch to another batch, where you're just like, I mean, yeah, there were a couple that I was just like, I can't even finish this. And that's not that it's a bad thing, but I think to your point, there's definitely a distinct palate you have when you're trying to, especially when you're trying these things for the first time. So I guess, what are your thoughts for those folks watching about ciders and how that trend is really starting to pick up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy ciders. It's like, I'm definitely picky, but I wouldn't say I'm a snob per se. Like, I enjoy things that are alcoholic, and if they taste good, they taste good, like whatever they are.
Great.
And, I mean, the fact that cider's taken off, it's also one of those things that is coming along in the craft world as well. So it's like one of those ways to explain to people who are, still into the macro world, like, hey, this is small business. This is America. This is, brewing talent or cider making talent. And like, yeah, you got to pay more, but this is cool. And maybe you like this because you don't like beer. And then they're like, wow, this is really good. And they're like, yeah, so is this, because craft beer can taste like a million different things. And they all think beer is, just Budweiser. And so like, I don't drink horse piss. It's like, yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But like, there's so many other things that you can drink. There's a great cider maker in town. So there's the San Bruno. It's South City Cider is the name of the guys. And there's 3 of them, and I'm in touch with a guy named Greg, and he actually reached out to us, and he's like, hey, I see you're in San Francisco. How do I get my cider on barrel backers? And I'm like, I don't know if we really do cider. And,
right.
I went and met him, and I was like, yeah, I can do cider. Like, I don't care. Like, it tastes good. And he's just trying to make it. He's a year old as well. And, he's doing great things. He's a brewmaster, and he's got passion. He loves what he's doing. I'm like, all right, I can respect this. And, if I can help you sell more, like, why not?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, everyone has a different palate. And so, if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, well, I'm sorry. Hopefully we can find something you like. But I think cider's great.
And that's a question for you, actually. How I mean, is there like a built-in, like, customer satisfaction guarantee? I order, a 12-pack of zombie dust or something like that, and I don't like it. I mean, I've had like 2 beers. I'm like, this stuff sucks. I mean, is it just like Mr. Customer stuck with it, or I mean, how do those?
Yeah. I mean, like, at this point, we haven't had anyone really complain. We have had, some people say that they didn't like this or whatever from the subscriber side, which is they don't get a vote. It's the classic beer club model. Like, we basically take their orders and allocate it to other campaigns, and then that's how we close out campaigns. And so it's a way for us to finalize. And so when somebody does say something like that, we obviously apologize. But the other thing is like, all right, what do you like? Which a lot of subscribers tell us, like, I only like IPAs, I only like saisons, I only like whatever. It's like, all right, fine. Like, I'll only send you that. And if you hate porters, I'm not going to send you porters. Like, nice. So there's that side of it. But there's also on the site, you can see that we have the ratings from the 3 major rating agencies: Untapped, Rate Beer, Beer Advocate.
Right.
So you can go in there, you can see what other people say. And we also try to link to 2 to 3 pieces of earned media, which is, a beer blogger or somebody who just wrote about it, whatever, a review. And then you can say, all right, well, do I want to try this or not? Bottom line is, if you make a big enough stink, just like any business in America, we'll probably give you your money back. But just know you're taking it out of my mouth, and I probably won't eat that week, but that's cool.
And I don't think that I definitely don't think that's the case. I just think
right.
the point, though, if people look at it from the fact that there's a premium buy-in to get this service, right? Which is fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and that totally makes sense. I think that can be totally isolated. So
I mean, if we don't get your beer to you, or it comes in broken, which I don't know why it would, because we use great packaging, but like on the odd, we haven't had any of that happen. But if that happens, for sure, we give you your money back. Like,
and then as far as shipping, what is it primarily just cans, bottles? Are you doing like mini kegs? I mean,
yeah. So we're doing cans, bottles. We're doing bombers, 750 mil corked, 500 mil, 16 ounces, 12 ounces, you name it. Like, any variation we can probably fit. The thing that really happens that people may not understand about the shipping game is, like, 18 pounds is kind of the magic number in shipping for cost. So if you can fit it in for about 18 pounds, if you go over that, you're just going to get bled dry. And if you pay under it, people are like, let me buy a 6-pack. It's like, well, sure, the math's not going to work.
Right.
Like, you're still going to pay more. And so this is why it's always 12 bottles, because 12 cans is like 12 pounds, and 12 bottles is about 18 pounds. Same thing. So it's like, that's kind of it where it comes to, like, make the math work, where it's like, we're not giving it to you at a loss. So that's kind of the only side note, I guess I would say, about shipping.
And then the other question, I guess I'm looking at my notes here on shipping. again, it's like, be careful what you wish for, like the perfect storm. Like how, what is your footprint? Is it North America, South America, wherever, or if you
No, it's just the U.S.
so
right
it's
now.
primarily just the States.
I mean,
so
it's just the States. We've had people reach out like, can you send it to Australia? Can you send it whatever? And it's like, yeah, that's a nightmare. Even sending it to Canada is a headache. And so like, you're like, oh, Canadians, like we can figure out Canada. And it's like, well,
it's tough.
As I mentioned,
it is tough.
We're 3 months old and like just trying to figure it out. It's like, if we can't prove the model in America, there's no reason to worry about international.
Right. Yeah, no.
We're still in the question mark phase of, do people really want this? I mean, I know I want it, and other people do want it, but
and like you said, I would have to imagine that the less moving parts you have to worry about. I mean, because the thing is, I mean, you have to spend the money to ship it up to Canada. Then then there's the duty taxes and all that crap. And I mean, it's like by that time it takes even more of a hassle. So, what about one other quick question here? What about do you have any plans to segue into a lot of these like local spirits distilleries? Like, for example, do you see down the road, we were talking about Scotch, there's Black Button distribution in town. There's Lesign in Geneva, for example. There's Iron Smoke whiskey. I mean, I would imagine this probably would fall like right in that same wheelhouse. Like even if I think that would be a phenomenal idea, because to me, if I can get access to something from like a like a locally distilled perspective. I mean, I think versus walking into the local liquor store, I would definitely pay money for that for sure.
No, absolutely, and that's why we went with the idea or the name of Barrel Backers, because it applies to multiple levels. Obviously, it's how breweries capture their production. It's a unit of measurement for breweries. But there's also barrel aged everything, and everything kind of gets done in a barrel. And so we're like, big picture, if we can stay alive long enough to get there, absolutely, we'd love to get into the artisanal whiskey space, or Scotch, etc. Well, I guess it's not Scotch because it's not Scotland, but what I'm saying, the artisanal.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, and that craft distillery, it's a smaller market than cider right now, but I think it's going to kind of take off in the same vein as ciders and beers, because I mean it's the same artisanal crafting. I mean, handcrafting, the actual people behind it, and that kind of stuff. So, good job.
And that's the other thing that people like, and it's what I like, is the actual story. Like, I mean, you can relate to the brewer, and the guy's like a real person. It's like, that's awesome. It's great to like talk to these guys, and they're excited, and we're excited, and see what happens.
Right. Excellent. Let's see.
So I kind of missed it. Where are you from? Where are you out of?
So I live in San Francisco right now. I was raised in Georgia. I was a military brat growing up, so I moved around a lot, but I claimed Georgia. I went to high school there, so I turn on my southern accent when I go home.
I used to live in Decatur for like 5 years.
Ah, very nice. Yeah.
No, for a year.
All right. I grew up in Augusta, and my sister still lives in Atlanta. I got a bunch of buddies who live in Decatur, so whenever I get there, Christmas and stuff, we go. Where are you out of right now?
Right.
You're obviously traveling somewhere.
Right. Oh, shit, really? Hold on, I'm trying to get in my room. Right now I am in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Been spending a lot of time here, but I'm all over the state of PA right now.
Okay.
Actually, today I got to visit. I got beer that was brewed here.
Nice. Yingling.
A good one. Yeah.
So that's
we've actually had a couple of recruits for that.
Awesome.
I bought 5 cases to take back home because in Indiana we can't get anything east of Ohio, or I'm sorry, west of Ohio. So
you could be a barrel backers customer. There's no question. I don't necessarily know if they want to go highbrow and put Yingling on their list, but I don't know.
I'd put it on it if they'd let us. I don't think they cared. Like, we're the oldest brewery in the country. They were like, who are you kids?
Right.
What do you want? Right?
Like, you need to get out of your diapers, son. Like, thanks, man. Trying.
That's funny. Tommy's running away.
Sorry, I was putting the TV off. It was loud.
Oh, that's you. You're just loud, man. That's a nice
Fucking
beard
mess,
you got.
you know?
That's quite the beard you got going on, buddy. That's nice. I'm gonna
It's
call
growing.
you. I'm gonna call you like the ginger Saint Nick, dude.
You know, when I first met, when I was scoping like big time, my hair was down to probably my shoulders. My beard was about down to about here-ish.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to get it back. I miss my beard. I do. I don't even feel like I have half a beard. I feel like half a man right now.
Right.
But
Nice.
it's getting to be that time of the year where the snow's getting ready to fall. I've seen a little flaking out here already, and I know Jonah D has seen some snow already. So,
Oh yeah.
and you got the Oktoberfest kicking in. So I'm just feeling the vibe of the beard.
Get it going. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, so listen, it's getting close to the top of the hour. I think we should probably be respectful to Adam's time, and I don't want to necessarily keep him all night. We got to get back to that World Series. Go Mets! I don't know if you guys are. I don't know. I'm cheering for the Mets anyway. At least that's. Wait, back up. My wife is a Mets fan. There's the answer. See, smart guy. See, not me. My wife is a Mets fan. So. Anyway,
keeping the peace. Keeping the peace.
So again, Adam, I know. Like I said, I think it's a great idea, and Gunner, really solid find with Barrel Backers. Appreciate you bringing them on to Craft Beer Chat, and this is just a great medium to discover, this exact particular type of business. And folks, again, if you're just watching this on replay, again, thank you, Adam from Barrel Backers. Check them out at barrelbackers.com. They are on Twitter. They're on Facebook. And again, great opportunity if there's a beer you're looking for, or you've had, or you're looking to try. Check out their website. If there's a beer that's not there, jump on it, put it on there, vote, and then maybe they'll be able to get it to your doorstep. 3 different packages to choose from, by the way, and they can certainly accommodate within reason as far as all of continental U.S., by the way.
Right.
Most places. There's a couple states we can't get to, but 40 plus.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just by last question, I guess that I have is how do you ship? Because I know that is it the Postal Service? Postal Service says you can't ship alcohol. So.
Definitely not the Postal Service. No. So the Postal Service does not want to play ball, but they might have to play ball here soon. There's like a couple things going on with Congress trying to change that. But yeah, it's a mixture. So like we obviously have to use freight and different ways to get it through to each state has different laws. And so sometimes the truck has to go to the retailer record, stop there. Sometimes it has to come off the truck, come out, back on, whatever. And then kind of last mile delivery is through, your standard FedEx, UPS.
Okay.
There's Lone Star overnight. There's different Golden State overnight or shipping entities that will deliver to your door.
Okay.
And so there's a network of partnerships that kind of make it happen, depending on where you and depending on the retailer and everything else that's kind of built out there. It's similar to the beer clubs, same way that the beer clubs can operate.
Okay.
So So I guess you just got me thinking, and you said those other beer clubs. I guess just that sort of that last claim to fame. I mean, really, what is sort of in a nutshell that elevator statement that separates you from those other beer clubs for those folks watching and maybe those watching this on replay?
Yeah, no, we're a way to get beer you can't get locally, but the difference is you have choice. So in a beer club, a Cicerone or somebody just decides what you're going to get. Whereas here, for the most part, you can obviously, we have the subscription model. So if you want the fire and forget, we're happy to take care of that. But I mean, that's just a beer club. But our differentiation is you say, wow, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. And you place a pre-order against that beer. And the other side is the voting piece. Like, you tell us where to go versus, you know, I'm friends with somebody over here and I can get beer for cheap there. So that's what you're getting next month, you know? So that's what the whole purpose of the voting page is. And obviously the voting page doesn't mean the brewery's going to work with us. Some of them won't even answer our call. But other ones have been very happy to answer our call and be like, wow, that's awesome. You know, like, let's do something. You guys are doing something great. And so it all depends on, you know, what the brewery is and where they're at. And some people are progressive and some people can't be bothered by a startup. So, you know, it's fun.
I've never heard of a beer club.
Okay. Well, that's good. You never had this problem.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah. No, yeah. So
it's fantastic.
Yeah, we're trying to get it out there, man. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I think we should maybe do a little collaboration offline because I do have some ideas. I don't know, Gunnar, if you want to kind of hit the pause button and we can kind of do a wrap up and go from there.
Yeah, well, I will. So we're ending this now, and I will pause the recording. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and join in next week. Well, not sure if we have any specific topic or guest in mind yet, but we'll think of something.